BUNK was a play that Rational Madness developed as one of its first productions way back in 1999, and it was selected as part of something called Bleeding Chunks, which was a funded programme from Theatre and Beyond to take a 10-minute extract of a promising play and take it to kind of rehearsed development. It had some pretty well-known actors in it, a good director in the form of Maria Pattinson, and I was involved as the writer. And BUNK, as you can read on the website, was all about exploring the relationship between art and industry. It then got picked to be developed into a full-length play that performed as part of the Brighton Festival through Theatre and Beyond as well. And this time it had the director Lou Cope, who's a brilliant director, and took it to full production at the Brighton Dome. And the play required 6 actors. It was quite a big budget play, but it also had a workshop attached to it where people from industry came in and not only dialogued around the themes, but also then came to see the play. It was a full house. It was successful. And then it kind of lay a bit fallow because it would have had to go to full production, and the nature of Rational Madness, even in its name, is we're already on the next production. But dialoguing around some of the themes that made their way into academic publication too, and myself, the writer Paul Evie, wrote quite a lot out of BUNK into the different field of writing about change development in the fields of social science. It also fed future productions, but it was revived recently in a rehearsed reading at an event which was the Art of Management, an organisation conference, AOMO, at the University of Brighton, where once again it made its way onto this time the Salis Benny Theatre stage. And where it currently is in the possibility of whether there's a version of this that could be done with less actors, making it a bit more financially viable. And whether it's become very relevant again, this link between performance-based business and in factories, and that metaphor of performance also being performance in art and in theatre. And we're quite keen to explore that now. It's certainly got very, very good feedback. And we did a process of trying to crowdsource the rewrite from the many people that were at that conference. And so the play was shown at the beginning in the form of a rehearsed reading, and then went to a reread at the end as well. And as writer, I've taken away lots of ideas. So in development, BUNK has kind of revived nearly 20 years after its original showing, which is also a sign for our company that you can let things, a bit like maybe a cactus or a plant that only blooms once in every 10 years, but nevertheless it blooms and can be all the more dramatic for that. So I'm restless about BUNK. It's sitting there in the portfolio of shows, and it's set in a factory. It's set in the Henry Ford River Rouge car factory after the war, and it's relevant today about how we innovate, how we improve, and that double meaning of the word performance. And I'm quite keen to explore that in theatre. It's certainly kept some of its comedy, but it's also kept some of the serious themes, and the writing still seems to work. That was certainly the feedback from people. It's quite a long play, and I was seeking feedback about whether it was too long, and that didn't come across either. Also did a reading at the Edinburgh Fringe with some actors like Guy Masterson and Gavin Robertson and Nick Collette. Nick's been involved in some Rational Madness work before. And there are other people there too, and the feedback there also was, when are you going to take this to full production? So I'm left with quite a lot of kind of peer group encouragement that would have been honest if they thought it wasn't viable. And so there's the possibility of this going into a bit of further development during 2019 and 2020. So one of our first productions has suddenly come alive again. And I'd be interested to know what anyone else thinks about it. So there may be opportunities this year. I think it needs further kind of scrutiny and read-through. I like that scrutiny. I like hearing from people who just hear the play on the page first and then seeing how they could imagine it lifted off the page. So there we go. That's BUNK. Your thoughts welcome too.